Nice to have you with us on this Good Friday, the 30th day of March, the year 2018. Nice to have you aboard. Yours truly, Christopher Russo, kicking off broadcast day here in a great Sirius XM 82. We take you right up until 6 as we have some fun and do a good talk show for you on your Easter weekend. Billy Z and Eddie Erickson and Colin Schmeling will anchor the program today as we take you home. A couple of day games we'll keep you up to date with. The NCAA Final Four we'll discuss, and we'll have some fun. Now, I'm going to start this show off a little differently because it's a good prelim to our guest list on Monday, care of Armin Katane and Jeff Benedict on the new Tiger Woods book. And I read this 5 minutes ago, page 234. They come Monday at 5, and I have to read you this just to give you a little sense of what this book is about. You ready? Starting in 1998, each year during the week of the Masters, Tiger stayed with Mark and Alicia O'Mara at the Augusta area home of Peggy Lewis. He liked it there for a number of reasons. Out of the way, great privacy, plus O'Mara paid for the rent. And when O'Mara failed to make the cut, he'd leave town on Friday night, meaning Tiger had the place to himself remainder of the weekend. In 2002, Tiger chose to stay at Lewis's place again, and this time he brought Elin along. Wife, not at the time though. 2 weeks earlier, she had stepped into the limelight for the first time, quietly cheering him on the Bay Hill Invitational in Orlando. But he was still trying to keep the lid on the relationship, and Lewis's home provided the cover he was looking for. After O'Mara missed the cut, left town, Tiger and Elin were alone at Lewis's place. They did not venture out, choosing instead to eat and remain out of sight. Make a long story short, he wins the tournament. Afterwards, post-match Sunday, Tiger, can you please share with us how you plan to celebrate and with whom tonight? Tiger had no intention of sharing his plans. You know what he said? Right now I'm going to take a dinner here, the Champions Dinner. When I get home, I've got to pack up my suitcase, get ready for my flight, but I will celebrate. I'm not going to tell you how, but I will celebrate. It must have been some celebration because the next day, when Peggy Lewis returned to her home, it was a wreck. Shaving cream smeared on the bedroom and bathroom walls. Plates with partially eaten food were left under Tiger's bed. The kitchen looked as though it had hosted a frat party. Lewis ended up staying in a hotel that night while a cleaning service restored her home. A few weeks later, she got her phone bill. More than $100 of long-distance calls have been made to Sweden and England during the weekend of the Masters. Fed up, Lewis did something she had never done. She placed a call to Tiger's office. It was bad enough that Tiger had never paid her for the use of her home or left her a tip, but what really upset her was his basic lack of respect and appreciation. Year after year, she would return home to find her personal property damaged or destroyed, none of which Tiger had apologized for or offered to replace. So when Tiger's assistant got on the phone, Lewis unloaded. Quote, "He's not allowed in my house anymore," he told her, launching into a list of grievances that ranged from small. One year she found her nicest white comforter covered in bloodstains and balled up in a corner of Tiger's room, to expensive. In 2001, she had to replace a brand new dining room table after someone, she suspected Earl Woods, had left cigarette burns all over the surface. When the O'Maras heard about the table incident, they purchased a new one for her. The only year Lewis's home had been damaged while Tiger was in it, well, check that. The only year Lewis's home had not been damaged while Tiger was in it was 2000, the year his first girlfriend, Joanna Jagoda, was with him. That was also the only year Lewis had received a thank you card. It read, "Thank you very much for sharing your lovely home. I hope to see you when we come back, Joanna." Not a word, however, from Tiger. I asked him one time if we should send flowers, Tiger's assistant told Lewis. A little late for that. There had been Sunday nights when Lewis had to go to a hotel because Tiger was still in her house. It irritated her in those instances, and Tiger still did not offer to pay her expenses. But it was the calls to Sweden that had pushed her over the edge. Tiger, the richest athlete in the world. Would it really be so difficult to leave behind some money and a note explaining that they had used the phone? Make a copy of the bill and send it to me, the assistant said. A few days later, Lewis received a bouquet of flowers from Tiger's office. Then a couple of weeks after that, she received an envelope containing a photocopy of her phone bill and a check. The calls that Elin had made were highlighted in yellow. The check was for the exact amount of those calls, not a penny more. Tiger's inability to show gratitude, apologize, or express appreciation was rooted in his warped upbringing. His mother pampered him like a prince. His father rarely uttered the words thank you or I'm sorry. Tiger learned early and often that his needs were all that mattered. His unapologizing, self-centered attitude was critical to his success in golf, but it had an utterly devastating impact on the way people perceived him. Sadly, Woods didn't seem to care about the latter part. It didn't matter that someone like Peggy Lewis would have adored him for life if he'd simply acknowledged and thanked her. That is just a little page of Tiger Woods by Jeff Benedict and Norman Katayan. Now, if you think that Tiger reading that, and don't tell me he hadn't, is not going to sit there and give CBS a tough time when they cover the Masters next week, you are mistaken. Last Friday, we discussed it with our good buddy Sean McManus. Don't forget, Armin works for CBS, 60 Minutes. He's a CBS correspondent. He did all the football games. He's one of the great writers, and so is Benedict, that this country has produced in the last 15 years, 20 years. He's a journalist of utmost regard. So this book is true. If you think Tiger is not going to take that page and memorize it and basically play hard to get to CBS next week, you are mistaken. Here is a guy, that was his seventh Masters that was his seventh major that he won. Here is a guy that is worth billions, and he's got such a disregard from a house that he's renting at the Masters. He left it like a piece of you-know-what. We'll come back and do the baseball. Why not? On a Friday. It's a good Friday. Returning. Mad Dog.